Hi, I'm Daphne from Daps Makeup, here to give you the quick tea on luxury makeup, but I have a lot to talk about, so prepare to sip slow. And today we are talking about Tom Ford, specifically Iconic Smoke. I am super excited to talk about this eyeshadow palette. I own a lot of Tom Ford eyeshadows, but it's mainly the wet to dry formula. So I'm just getting into this whole creme eyeshadow formula from Tom. So I was really excited for this color story because I love a good smoky eye. I love these colors right here. And I was very curious about this new formula. So I've actually have been using this for 3 days straight. This is actually my third eye look that I've created with this palette, and I actually did do 3 demo videos of those 3 looks. So I'm gonna show you the demo video so you can see me, working through the process and, with the application of those 3 looks. I know that my palettes are not looking pretty anymore, and we'll talk all about that. So what I also do is I'll show you some pics of what the palette looked like before I dug my brushes into them, so you can see what the palette will look like when it's nice, new, and pristine. I'll give you swatches. And then after you look at the pics, watch the demo videos, you're gonna come back here. I'm gonna tell you what I think about this eyeshadow palette, not only, the color story and things like that, but of course of the formula. Because like I said, I'm fairly new to this whole formula. I mean, it's fairly new to him as a brand. But even, I actually do own 2 of his creme eyeshadow palettes, and I will compare them to this because even though it's still a creme eyeshadow, it does seem like he's modified the formula. And I'll let you know if I think it's for better or for worse. And I'm also going to pull out one of my wet to dries also just to compare the shimmer so you can understand the differences, because this palette's formula is definitely different from any other Tom Ford eyeshadow that I own, and I own a lot. So I definitely have thoughts about this. So watch the demo videos, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. All right, see you in a minute. This is going to be my first time using the Iconic Smoke Tom Ford palette. I did swatches earlier, but this is my first time. I did set my concealer with a Viseart matte, so just so you know. But now we're going to go into this. I'm going to go into this shade first. I'm trying to go around the TFs because it's going to go away, but like, I feel bad when it's going to go away, so I'm trying to preserve it as long as I can, although I know it will not last. You could already see just from the swiping I did from before, the tea is already going away. So that applied beautifully. We'll do the same on the other side. I'm trying to be fast for work with this first look with you guys. All right, going into the next shade. I'm back. Now we're going to go into the deeper shade here, deeper in my crease. So I will try to do another look for you besides this one. But so far, first impressions, easy blend, easy blend. Very easy. So, simple, straightforward. That's the beauty of, having a quad. No fuss, no muss. Like, I'm rushing to work. I don't want to have to really think hard to create a look. All right, we're going to be going to shimmer next. Like I said, time for the shimmer. So I'm just going to this one. I'm going to put this all over my lid. Hope you can appreciate I am getting a little bit of fallout, but nothing that I can't handle. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of the dark matte on my outer third. But there's a shimmer. I don't know if the camera can focus. Alright. Just doing my outer third on both sides. Okay, lastly, we're going to go into the shade. I'm going to just use this on the inner corner today. You know, I'll try to do a look later where maybe I'll do an all matte look and maybe put it on the lid. But just to be safe, I'm just going to put a tiny bit in the inner corner. You know, obviously this is a very light shade for me to use. I can't use it, sorry, looking down, I can't use it like as a transition shade or anything like that on my skin tone. So the best that I can do with the shade is, just looking down at the, is either try to use it as an inner corner highlight, or like I said, I'll try to do a look where an all matte and I'll do that on the lid in place of the shimmer. I'm gonna go back into the shimmer, just use my finger and just want to intensify the shimmer. All right, I'm gonna put mascara, lashes, and do the whole, finish the whole look and come back. All right, I've completed the look. I did add a little bit more of this shade on the lower lash line. I use a Victoria Beckham Ash liner, Chanel Blue Night mascara, Chanel Mauve Rose blush on the lips, Mented number 5 on the cheeks, Mented number 5 lipstick with the Pat McGrath lip gloss. But obviously, it is all about the eyes. So definitely coming through with the smoke. I think it's actually looking really good. I love a good smoky eye look. So I'll try to create some other eye looks for you and then later give you my final thoughts. But this is just a first impression, first time using it. I'm liking the cream formula. It was really easy to blend. And just a beautiful smoky eye look. Okay, look number 2. So today I'm gonna still, you know, incorporate all 4 shades, but I especially want to focus on these shades, these 2 shades, and particularly this one. This is the shade that scares me the most, but we cannot hide baby in the corner anymore. I know, I just showed my age, but you know, this is the one that scares me, so this is the one we're going to feature today. But I'm gonna actually first go in with this one. I did set my concealer with another brown matte from Vizier. Yesterday I did one with Liaison that had more of a mauve undertone to it. This is a true neutral brown. So I want this one to really show through. So I wanna see how this color just really shows through on its own as much as possible. So let's just see if we just kind of, and you know, and last time I put a lot of the deeper one also deep in my crease. I'm going to try for that. I just want to see how much of the blue shows up. You know, it's, as you can see, it's blending beautifully. It was like, whoom, one swipe and we're done. So that's actually, in terms of formula. In terms of color, yeah, it's like, it has a blue undertone, but it's still definitely very smoky. You know, so obviously it's iconic smoke. So, oh, see, now you're seeing the blue more. See that? Okay. I might even change the brush because this brush, I feel like it's blending it so well that you're losing the blue, but that's what, yeah, see, I want us to see the blue more. So I might even switch brushes and see if I can kind of like intensify the blue more. Maybe if I use a more targeted brush. So be right back. All right, I brought a couple different brushes to kind of test out and just see if it's different with certain brushes. And it might also be just the lighting, you know, also as well. It's probably, I do have the ring light on right now, which is probably washing away maybe some of the color. But I see in this one, I feel like you can appreciate the blue more. I think it might be also just the lighting, making it look like you see it more in this eye, not the other eye. But oh, I'm loving this. Like I'm really getting to appreciate this shade because I think when I use these two, although they work well together, you lost some of the blueness. So let me just, blend things out a little bit, and then we're gonna go on to the light shade. It's time to use this one. So obviously I cannot use this as a transition shade. That's why it scared me. But what we can do is put it on the lid. Ooh. As you can see how white it looks on my skin tone. So yesterday I just did put it a little bit on my inner corner. Today I'm putting it on my lid. I'm gonna do the inner 2/3, and then I'll bring the blue smoky on the outer 2/3. But I think it's beautiful, the contrast actually, and then we'll put, and especially once we put liner and mascara, I think it'll still be good. It'll still be good. But yeah, on my skin tone, this shade can be a bit of a shock. But yeah, you basically only have two things you can do. Either just put it on the lid or the inner corner, because maybe under the brow, but it's very tricky for my skin tone to do this kind of shade without looking crazy, like not looking like her. I'm just going back here on the outer 1/3. So like I said, I'm really concentrated on these two shades. I just want today to be a little hyper focused with these two shades. Now let's still sneak in a little sparkle and put it on the inner corner this time. Okay, so we're gonna take a little bit and see if that works. This is very creamy, this is definitely different from the wet dry formula. It's softer, not as sparkly now. Maybe it could wet the brush maybe, but with the wet dry, even if I don't wet it, wetting those really intensifies it, but even without wetting it, there's certain level of sparkle, but it's still cute, but it's subtle. All right, now let's try to use the dark one as liner. Dip my brush in it. I might need to do this off camera, to be honest, but I wanted to attempt to do a little bit on camera. Not how well this will work, but let's try to be close to the lash line. Just dipping it in with my angled brush. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna do the other side and we'll be right back. Okay, so like I said, I went on the other side with the deep one to do a nice soft wing. So we have that on both sides. On the lower lash line, just like yesterday, I used the Victoria Beckham Ash liner, but I'm gonna add a little bit more of this blue. I'm like really feeling using this particular shade, and I'm just gonna use this just to smoke out the lower lash line. It's called Iconic Smoke, so we're gonna smoke this out. I am here for the smoke. I'm all about the smoke, so I'm all about this shade. I think it's just so pretty. And then I'm just going back in here and just going really deep in my crease. I just want to make sure that, and just kind of bringing it up a little bit. Make sure it really comes through the shade. Make sure I'm focusing the camera, but I hope you can appreciate this shade. But I love these kind of gray tone blues, but this one is like, I've had some gray tone blues, but especially this is very navy blue gray, if that makes sense. So I feel like this is a unique color story, even for gray tone blues go. I think that's beautiful. So, this shade is very highlighted. It's my favorite shade. But then we have the peak of this shade to give some contrast on the lid, liner. And so let me finish the rest of my makeup and wrap this up. Okay, so here is the final look. I'll let you get in closer. I hope you can appreciate this look. Just to finish it off, and I did the same thing yesterday. I used a Victoria Beckham liner. It's in the shade Ash. I hope the camera can pick it up, but this shade, you can see how this perfectly matches this eyeshadow. And I also use my favorite Chanel mascara in the shade Blue Night. Once again, tell me how this does not perfectly match this eyeshadow. These two plus this eyeshadow, perfection. Perfection. So I'm really liking the look, especially concentrating on those two particular shades today. Today I brought out some really old blushes I haven't used in a while. These are two shades from Bare Minerals. It's But First Coffee, and You Had Me at Merlot. Great shades for anyone of a deeper skin tone. And then lipstick, I have my favorite Gucci lipstick. It is Mona Leslie Cameo. I use a Makeup Forever liner in the shade Dimensional Dark Brown. And one of my absolute favorite Pat McGrath's lip glosses, Astro Moonflower, just to add a little sparkle and gloss. But obviously the star is the eyeshadow. So here's the whole look. And just a final look at the eyes. I actually think it came out really well. So we'll come back together and I'll give you my final thoughts, or maybe another look. We'll see. But we'll come back together in a second. All right, I decided I'll just do one more look with you guys. A quick look. I'm just gonna focus on these two now. All right, I wanna see if I can just really just stamp this in. You know, I'm usually one who does the whole wind wiper action with my mattes, but I was thinking about one and done that. I don't really do too many one and dones, but I could see how you could do it with this one. So I want to first just kind of do more stamping action, and I want to see how much pigmentation I can get, how much I can get of the blueness of this, and that is gorgeous. So yeah, I just wanted to really just kind of, especially on the lid, just really stamp it down. And then I might take my more traditional brush and then in the crease go back to my wind wiper motion. So let's try that. All right. Obviously you can tell this is like my favorite color. But I really also just want to experiment just to see like if I could create more of a gradient. Like I said, like, really stamp down the pigmentation on the lid and then, have it kind of fade out onto the... I'll clean things up. I know I'm making a mess, but on my outer V, I'll clean it up, so don't worry. Yeah, just want to make sure. Just make it just a one and done, but I was thinking I would put just shimmer, like do kind of a halo eye and just do shimmer lid, or maybe I should just do it in the inner corner. I don't know. Let me clean things up, do both sides, and then we'll decide then what we want to do with the shimmer. All right, be right back. Off camera, I started to kind of try to clean things up a little bit and do the both sides, but I wanted to show you, I did it on this side, but I'm going to do it on this side together. You can also use your finger with this. So just in terms of trying to lay it down and amp up the pigmentation, you can also use your finger. So you can use your brush, but also feel free to use your fingers. And I think that's beautiful. So, I'm liking how I'm made it very concentrated on the lids, and then I kind of made it fan out outwards. Obviously, you could just stop here. A lot of people are all about the one and dones. I probably should stop here. I can't help myself. So I'm going to put a little bit of the shimmer at the center, kind of almost a halo effect. And I just want to see how it works on top. And just to provide a little dimension, and I don't know, just to see how far we can push these shadows. So, the shimmer is a very soft, it's more subtle than they were dry. So I thought it would also lend itself actually to use it, although it can stand alone, but to kind of use it like a topper. It's not a traditional topper shade texture, but it has a thinness to it that I feel like it also works on top of shadows in addition to on its own. So I think that's kind of cute, just to halo eye, give some dimension. Should we put a little bit in the inner corners? Yep, because yeah, at any point where maybe somebody else would say, oh, stop, I don't know how to. So we're just gonna put a little bit on the inner corner. want to make sure we have some dimensions, not a totally flat look. But yeah, I'll probably put, you know, I'm going all in with this. I'll probably put it on my lower lash line, use the same liner and mascara that I've been loving with this look. And I'll do, you know, get my whole look together, and I'll come right back and show you the final look. Actually, I wanted to just come back. One, I did, as I told you, as I would, underneath my lower lash line, I just used this brush over here. It applied so well. I did put liner as well, but no, like it really applied so well. This is so creamy. The application is fantastic. I used an angle brush and put the slightest bit of line, I don't know if I want to even call liner or tight line on my upper lash line. I wasn't going to use this shade at all. And I know I should just leave things alone, but I'm curious. I'm thinking, let's just see what happens if I were to take just a little bit on my brow bone, like to do like a highlight of a brow bone. You know what? I think it's not crazy. I think just forcing myself to use a shade. This shade that scares me so much. I'm like, I bought it, we're gonna use it. So I'm using this just underneath my brow bone just to provide a lot of, you know, how we used to do brow bone highlight. I don't think that looks crazy. Probably just, you know, go back in a little bit with this one, with the blender brush in the center. I just make sure that, you know, everything's blended in transition. But I just want to show that actually I can pull off using this, you know, for a brow highlight kind of thing. So you know what? This shade is not turning out to be as bad as I was scared it was going to be. So now our really finished little look. Okay, the look is done. If you're curious, I got Suku blush on the cheeks, 04 Pure Color Blush, and a YSL Candy Glaze number 14. But yes, the eyes. Oh, I am telling you, the more I use this palette, the more I'm loving it. So now that I have done 3 separate looks, you know, 3 days with this palette, I feel like now I can truly talk to you and let you know what I truly feel about this color story and this formula. So here is my final thoughts. All right, and we're back. And we are back with this palette. So I hope you appreciated those, you know, the demo videos and the pics and everything. So what do I think of this palette? Well, first off, let's just talk, get out the way, color story. So if you know me, these 3 shades is so me. I love a smoky eye look. I love blues. I love neutral colors. So this 3 color story is so up my alley. Now I will say, when this palette came out, I keep pointing at these 3 because that's what attracted me to this palette. This one shade is what actually made me hesitant. You know, it gave me some pause, and I was trying to decide, should I get it or not? Because I'm like, obviously, look at my skin tone, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? You know, I understand for those who are of fair skin tones, you know, you can use this as your transition shade and use it to soften up these colors. But for me, if I dare use this in my transition shade, I'll look crazy. So, yeah, you know, you know, that's what was my hesitation. But, you know, I've kind of learned, like, you know what, you got to figure out how to sometimes make things work based on your skin tone. And so, as you've seen in the demo videos, what I end up using it is, you know, I did it all over the lid, inner corner, even as a brow highlight today, and it actually works well that way. And so I found a roll that works, and you know, so I'm actually okay with the shade because I figured out how to make it work. Obviously, what's drawing me in is these 3, and this one in particular. This is the shade that has my heart. This is the shade that makes me love this palette as much as I do. So color story, this is it. Now you can see how much, especially I'm loving this color story. You can see I'm making some serious indents into this palette. I'm doing my, I was doing my best. I was purposely going at the sides because I was trying to purposely not lose the TF embossing, at least for the video. They're not going to last. I think you can see that they're going to disappear. And once I really use them, once I decide to actually really dig into the middle, they'll be gone. So do not buy them for the TF. In certain palettes, not this one, the clear packaging is straight clear. Sometimes Tom Ford puts the TF on the plastic packaging. I wish in this case he did, because since the embossing is not going to last on the actual eyeshadows, it would have been nice if he put it on the plastic packaging, but that's okay. I'm here for the actual eyeshadow, and the important thing is loving the eyeshadows, whether or not there's a TF or not. So yeah, cream eyeshadows. So I have to tell you, I'm not necessarily in general a big creme eyeshadow lover. So here I am buying a creme eyeshadow. Like when I think of a cream eyeshadow, cream to powder, that kind of thing, my first thought is, of course, Natasha Denona. She is famous for that. And I love Natasha Denona. I have a huge Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. I've bought a lot, and I will continue to buy a lot. And I know a lot of people buy her specifically for her cream to powder formula. I have to say, I'm someone who's not a fan in general. In general, I'm actually not a fan of cream to powders. Couple things. First and foremost, a lot of times when you have this cream powder, they look so deep in the pan, and you're like, oh my God, look at this color. It's going to look so beautiful. Cream to powders, they're never as deep as it looks like in the pan. No matter how it looks, it's not as deep as in the pan. And especially as someone who is melanated, you get fooled. Every time you see a color, it's not to the level of intensity as you think. So I've had don't hate me, Natasha Denona fans, I've had a number of her shadows don't show up on me, or I have to work way too hard. And don't bother telling me use a different brush, use a different primer. I have tried them all. It is a function of just being a cream formula. I'm sorry. It's just this shade, it'll never look like what it looks like in the pan. And that, and for those who are fair tones, not going to be as big of a deal. But for someone as melanated as I am, or anybody deeper than me, it's a big deal. So that's one thing to always be aware of, just in general, regardless of brand, when you're going for a creme formula. But I think the reason why people love it so much is because it blends like a dream. It's cream, so it's just easy to blend. So if you want something that's just easy, no fuss, probably if you have mature lids, it's probably more forgiving for mature lids. When I was rushing to go to work, I could just go doot, 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 and it blended itself. So I do understand the fascination with creme formulas, but that is the caveat. So even these ones are not as deep as they look in the pan, but I will say though, they still do show up on me. Especially as you can see that one, and you can build them up to a degree. So let me get a couple more swipes of that deeper one. And so that's the one thing I do like about his formula, that they actually are buildable to a degree, of course, but so they do actually show up on me. I did have concerns that they were not going to show up on me, and thankfully they did. And talking about cream formula, so I'm still mad at myself. Oh my God, I'm so mad at myself. I never bought, I think it's called Velvet Sateen. That color story is so me, and I don't know why I didn't get it. I convinced myself that I didn't need it, and then when I finally wanted to get it, it was gone because it was limited edition. I don't know if this is limited edition or not, but if it is, don't play with Tom Ford. You can wait for like the VIB sale, because he's expensive. So instead of paying $90, if you're Rouge and can get 20% off, go for it. Can't guarantee that you're gonna find it at the CCO. If you have a cosmetic CCO store near you, maybe you could get it like half off, but not all CCs are equal, and so you might not find it. So sometimes you have to just bite the bullet and pay full price. I actually went to my CCO last year, and I actually found two palettes. It was Forbidden Pink and Smoky Quartz. So these ones I did not pay full price. I at most paid 50%. I might even have paid 40%. I'm gonna just show you. I'm gonna do some quick swipes of these, and then I'm gonna let you know what I think about those two palettes and how they compare to the current ones. So let me just start with. I'll just go with the Smoky Quartz. Okay, that's what's come up. As I'm swiping, I'll kind of let you know, like, even my feelings. And I think you can already kind of even guess. So I have to tell you, these two are not my favorite palettes. I love Tom Ford, but these are not my favorite. And I'm thankful that I did not pay full price. I would have been pissed. I hope you can appreciate. Just see, you know, I just did these three shades. I mean, obviously, these two are just straight ashy on me. And this one is not ashy, but as you can see, pigmentation is not really there. And this is what I'm talking about with creme formulas. Now, this fourth one, though, I do like from this palette. And it even, I don't know if you can even appreciate, but you're not going to appreciate, but even this is just creamier than the other three and clearly pigmented. So when it comes to this palette, I mainly go into this shade. I'm thankful, actually, you know, I probably should not gotten either one, but I'm happy I got both and not just one or the other, because what I'm going to swatch these as well. What I always end up doing is using shades from both of them, because I can't pull off a look just with one or the other. So once again, some more ash. This one actually is a shimmer. We'll talk about the shimmers in a second. This one I can definitely use, so you know I love this one, this deep one here. So I have these two deep ones that actually show up, and they are just creamier. Like, not only do they look deeper in the pan, but if you could trust me, if you could feel it, these ones feel more powdery. So these lighter ones, not only are just light in color, it's the formula. Like that feels like a true cream to powder, that they feel slightly creamy to touch in the pan, but once you apply it, it goes straight to powder. And unfortunately, way too light. These two deeper ones, they do feel creamier and clearly are much pigmented. So what do I think of the new palette? I love this one so much better. Okay. So, I mean, this one, obviously the color, you know, we can comment on the color of this one because it's going to still look kind of ashy on me. I've learned to make it work. But I hope you can still appreciate, like, do you still see that this is more pigmented than these? So even this one, which is still kind of feels cream to powder, is still more pigmented than those, okay? So pigmented is definitely improved from the previous palette. And I hope you can appreciate my favorite one, which is this one. You can just tell, like, this is more powdery, and then this is a little bit more creamier, and then this is really creamy. And I don't know, it's like I came to realize how creamy it was, particularly when I used it today. And I feel like the more I'm using it, and maybe the more I'm digging in, maybe getting through the first layer, the creamier it got. Like, I'm leaving straight indents. This feels like cream and kind of like initially still lays down like almost cream-like. And so you get better pigmentation with it, actually compared to his original formula. So I consider this an upgrade. I definitely consider this an upgrade. So I'm actually thankful, because that was another reason I think I was kind of hesitant, because I remember those two palettes. They are probably one of my least faves of Tom Ford palettes, and I own a lot, like 24 palettes. Okay. So now in general, you know, what made me fall in love with Tom Ford was his wet to dry. I love his wet to dry. That's what I feel like makes him special and unique. I'm not saying nobody, but like there's something special about his wet to dry format. Now, in these palettes, like this one has one shimmer, you know, so as I showed you with the others, a lot of times there's usually one shimmer maybe. So you have the real true cream powders, and then you have one shimmer. Now this shimmer, I'm going to just swatch it. Now this has some creaminess too. You can see I've left an indent. And I'm going to swipe over here. So it's cute. It's got a nice little shimmer. But I'm going to pull down my sleeve because I'm going to pull out a wet to dry formula because I just wanted to compare to a wet to dry. I actually still prefer the wet to dry in his formula. Let's see. This is metallic denim, one of my absolute favorites. So let me do this one. I think this might be similar. And I think you can even appreciate in the pan how much more glittery this is. You know what? This is not a good swatch. I hope you can appreciate, like, it shines more. And I can even bring out, like, one of his other palettes where it's, you know, there's even ones that are maybe even a little bit less glittery, but they shine more. Like, there is a difference between the shine of these and this one. So, I don't mind, you know, this shimmer. It's okay. But with this one, yeah, you are buying it because you care about the creme, or at least for me, the actual creme eyeshadow more than the actual shimmer. Like in the perfect world, I would love, he's probably never going to do, but I would love if he would put actually his creme eyeshadows with his wet to dry. That would be ideal because I could bring those out too, but I have some old Tom Ford palettes. He had a few where he had like a regular matte. I was not impressed by those. Those are not worth spending $90 on. Not at all. So I do prefer his creme eyeshadow formula over his old matte eyeshadow formula, but I still love his original wet to dry formula over the shimmers in this palette, if that makes sense. All right. But you know, it's cute. You know, like today I had put down the creme shadow first, and then I had popped I used it like a topper shade. Although this totally can stand on its own, I did use it like a topper shade just to provide some dimension, which I thought was cute, you know, and then I put them in the inner corner. And so you get sparkle, you know, I'm showing you in room light, you know, in natural lighting. So you get a little bit of sparkle, but you're not going to get, you know, high shine. You know, and even these wet to dry swatches, I just did these dry. You can wet your brush and these will intensify more. So that's the other thing about the wet to dry formula. It just is very special when you want a shine and sparkle, but it's still sophisticated. It's still, you know, Tom Ford's still Tom Ford. So I think there's something special about that formula. But you know, like I said, it's all about this creme formula. So I actually think it's actually fabulous. Yeah, it blends easily. I think it will be great for mature lids. I think this is definitely an upgrade from the previous. These shadows actually show up on me. They're never gonna look as intense as they are in the pan. You can only build them up to a degree. But I think it's, you know, it's different to, you know, I do a lot of smoky looks. I love smoky looks. But sometimes it's nice to do a smoky look that's softer. You know, I appreciate that as well. As much as I love, you know, a powdery matte, having it be a creme formula, you still get the smokiness, but in a much softer way. And, you know, I think it's nice to have that in my collection as well. So I think that's basically it. So, do I love it? Yes. You know, I know $90 is a lot to spend on an eyeshadow palette. You know, hey, VIB sale is coming up soon. So if you can get it on sale, you know, sometimes Nordstrom will have sales at certain points. So sometimes you can get things 10, 15, 20% off, you know, so I don't blame anyone waiting for a sale. But I do think this is worth getting if you love this color story, of course. You got to love this color story because, you know, I made 3 looks and, you know, I could see the differences with my looks, but they're subtle, you know, so you know, I didn't, you know, my 3 looks are not going to be like 3 really wildly different looks because with this kind of color story, there's only so much you can do. So you got to love this. I do. So even the subtle differences I appreciate. But if this is not your favorite color story, just know like this is what you're going to get, you know. But yes, if you love this color story, I think it's actually a great formula. And even if you're a deeper skin tone, these 3 will definitely, you know, show up well in us. And you just know, like, you're not going to use this as your transition shade. But you can put it on the lid, you can put it in the inner corner for a highlight that way. All right, I hope you found this review helpful. Thank you for staying this long. So if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. And if you aren't following me on Instagram, please do. I'm the most active there at Daps_makeup. But until then, I will see you next time when I show you whatever's next and new that comes to my collection. Bye.